most successful women in the world have grabbed every opportunity afforded to them and have created opportunities for themselves, harnessing their fears and doubts as rocket fuel instead of rocks in their pockets. The factors that contribute to the development of the next generation of women leaders can be gleaned from their experiences. One such inspirational woman is Norina Chiteva, mother, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker. Ms. Chiteva has dedicated a huge part of her life to ensure that young future leaders, especially women, harness their abilities to their best and realize their full potential. She runs an organization called Coopers Young Women's Network, and she also boasts of some nifty skills on the court, having been elected first ever female president of the Zambia Squash Association. Definitely a beacon of hope to many young women and girls in the society. She tells us her story.
Norina Chiteva is a lot of things, but who I am and what I am, obviously two different things. Who I am is a woman of God, and a lot of things culminate from that. And what I am, obviously, the things that I've become through my journey. So first and foremost, what I am is I'm a mother, and I currently run an organization for young women called Coopers Young Women's Network. I'm also the president of the Zambia Squash Association, first female ever. I am a motivational speaker. I speak to young women and to young married women, and a host of a lot of other things. But basically, I feel now where I am right now, my role is specifically to create hope and to tell people around me, especially young women, that you can do so much for yourself. Yeah. Young Women's Network is an organization that looks at empowering and motivating and inspiring young women from all walks of life. This is something that I started way back in 2009 when I was working for Finance Bank. At that time, I was Assistant Director for Marketing and Communications. I used to sit down with some young women in Kabanana and would sit and I would mentor them and do workshops with them. Over time, I lost track, obviously because of career and a lot of other things that came into play. So I sort of like took a back seat. But about 2.5 years ago, it was still sitting at the back of my mind, especially after I left the corporate world to rest. Then I decided to take it up full time. So our aim at Coopers Network is to basically inspire young women to be leaders of, or rather, agents of positive change in their lives. So our aim is to motivate, to inspire, and empower them to do great things for their lives. And our vision, which culminates from it all, is that we'd like to see a society where young women have a clear understanding of who they are, their self-worth, their purpose. Because once they understand who they are, it'll be very easy for them to follow that path that they want to be. And like I always say, I think every single person in this world came here for a purpose. And that is what we want to not really inculcate, but we want to raise that in a young woman. So that is what Coopers Young Women's Network is all about. We also do various activities within the network because we're talking about empowering and inspiring and motivating young women. Some of the activities that we do is, one which has become quite popular, is it falls under our leadership and motivation seminar. So it's called the Coopers Chat, which has been going on for the last 1 year, and it has kicked off already for the year. The other activities that we do obviously are to do with issues of empowering and also just training. And this year, I'm very glad to say that in February we're kicking off our 3-point program. 3-point program focuses on 3 things. Number 1 is on entrepreneurship. So then we take the girls through entrepreneurship skills. So we're talking about the business mindset and financial literacy, which is very important for any young woman to understand how to manage money. Then we take the girls through what we call the professional skills. So we'll take you through time management, interview skills, and public speaking, which I think is very important, and presentation skills. And then the girls are then taken through, or are going to be taken through the 3rd point, which is going to focus on personal branding and reproductive health. And the girls also do some charity work, amongst other activities.
Coopers Young Women's Network was birthed from the Community Library Development Network in Kabanana Township in Lusaka. The library catered for both girls and boys, but there was a need for girls to have a space or grouping where they could feel safe to share interact, be guided and mentored. Hence the network. It's an initiative that is looking to grow in the many communities in Lusaka and move to other parts of the country. But what inspires a young established woman like Miss Chitewa to start up one such organization?
Oh, my love for young women. I mean, obviously, being where I am today, I have been a young woman before. I've been a girl before, and when I was growing up, there's certain things that happen to a young woman. Fine, you have your aunties and you have your grandmothers, but there's certain things that you probably don't have anyone to share them with. So one of the things that really inspired me to start the Young Women's Network is to create an environment for young women to feel safe enough to share their journey, all their problems and all the other things that happen with them. And as we speak today, we finally somehow expanded a little bit and have created, we now call it a quiet room where young women can come and speak to a counselor, come speak to one of the coaches of the many women that have come through to the network to support the network, being as mentors or as coaches. So my inspiration is basically for me, for the love of the young woman, because I know that young women in anywhere, or even men actually have potential, but it's how do you harness that potential and how do you take it out. Women are I always say women are very powerful, and sometimes we do not know that. So our role is to try and make you understand the influence that you have and use that influence in a positive way. So my inspiration came out of just my love for young women, and I'd like to see more women succeed and do great things for themselves, because once you empower a woman, can you imagine the sort of influence they have on themselves, their families, their communities, and the country as a whole. So it all comes from my love for the young woman and to seeing a better Zambia, but through the development of young women. I started playing squash when I was 10, and I obviously went through the ranks. I played in under 13, under 16, under 19. I was junior champion for 2 years. I think that was 91 and 92. I also had the privilege of representing Zambia at national team level, so I was in the national team. I was also Zambian champion at one time. So I've had my fair share of playing squash and also being able to play it at a competitive level. So out of that, and with school and career and everything that goes off, you sort of like stop playing it at a very competitive level. And now I'm able to, I'm sitting here today as a president of the Zambia Squash Association. I like to think I've brought a little bit of flair to the game, in that now that I understand how a squash player feels and the activities that go with it. And now with my professional background, I think to put together, I think I've brought quite a bit to the table. So currently, like I said, I'm the president of the Zambia Squash Association. We've done tremendous things for the association. One of them is that when we came into office, our main objective, or we said one of our goals actually, was that we needed to create a junior program before we leave office. And I'd like to say that as we speak today, we kicked off our junior program. I'd like to say thank you very much, a big thank you to Zamtel for coming on board to have this one-year partnership that will see the junior program run for the next few years. So we're very excited about that. I'm a product of a junior program in those days, the ZCCM days, and now we're giving an opportunity for the young people to play squash. And obviously, it might just be a career. We don't know where it's going to culminate into, but I believe with sport, there's so many ways of creating employment. So even just the players themselves, we can create employment for the coaches, we can create employment for the referees, and we just want to see a better Zambia, a fit Zambia, and also you take away the kids from all these vices that are going on, and they should put their time to go into. So I think we've done a great job so far.
From having to spend countless hours motivating and counseling young women, to running affairs of the Squash Association, to having to be a mother back at home, one can only imagine it must be very strenuous, yet she makes it through the day with a warm smile on her face every time. How does she do it?
I've never really been able to look at it. I know there's this issue of life-work balance, but what works for me is only a few years ago, really at least a few years ago, I read a book called The Present, And the person talks about you being able to being able to enjoy everything that you're doing. Anybody can use that. So when I'm at work, I focus on what is happening at work, so therefore I'm able to enjoy what I'm doing. When I go home, I take off the cap, I get into mother mode. When it's time for Zambia squash, it's going to be for Zambia squash. So it's a question of just being able to manage my time and also enjoy every particular part of the journey. And the reason I tend to think that we will struggle in terms of what we call the work-life balance is because if one area of your life is a drudge, you tend to not to do the best that you can because it's really dry, and then you start feeling that you're not really balancing it. But if you're enjoying it, you are enjoying every facet of your life, whether at work, whether at home, whether, like for me, whether it's Zambia squash, whether it's school pays, whether it's at home, I'm enjoying every part of that life, therefore finding myself creating that particular balance if it does exist. Great things. Like I said, we envision a society where young women have a clear understanding of who they are. So right now, as we speak, in January 2015, we had 9 members. As we close the year, we had about 149 members. Obviously, some of them are not very active, but at least we were able to see growth. What we'd like to see is that we would like, as Kupes expands and as we get partners on board, because now I can see that we're growing and the activities are now are getting bigger. And as I didn't explain earlier, the Kupes Young Women's Network has been solely funded by a few friends and my own hard work putting into it to make sure that it happens. But now that it's growing, we know that we want now to create chapters, because what we're doing here in Lusaka, we'd like to see it happening in Winilunga, we'd like to see it happening in Kasama or Kitwe or Ndola. So going forward, we want to start training what we call the Kupes champions, who then are going to start up chapters in the different areas of Zambia, because that's where we want to see Kupes go to, perhaps even Africa and the world, who knows. But we've taken baby steps, we've started that, and we're moving into Kitwe not too long from now. There's a particular pilot project that we want to undertake for this year in a particular school. Then we start creating those chapters, because we want to spread what Kupes is all about. And like I said, our vision is to see that society which has young women who understand, who have a clear vision of who they are, who understand their purpose, because once they do that, hopefully they'll be a force to reckon with. General status of our young women, girls and young women. I mean, obviously, if you look at the statistics, which are quite alarming in terms of the pregnancy rates that are going on, a lot of things have happened, I think, and trying to get, can I call it a balance? I wouldn't even call it a balance, but also just trying to see what's happening with the infusion of the Western world into what is happening in Zambia. I'll tell you what, we've been a bit confused, I think, in terms of adopting a particular culture which doesn't really work well with Zambia. So we've seen a high rate of pregnancies, especially amongst teenagers. Where have we gone wrong? We need to just go back to the basics. What is it that we're not telling our children? Is it that our children are being exposed to things that they're not supposed to be exposed to? So yes, we've seen one particular side where there's high pregnancy rates, but at the same time, we've seen young women who are doing tremendous things, and that is what we're trying to do. So we want to shift that. What is it that we're doing for our young women? Where are we talking to them? How much are we talking to them? And somebody yesterday made a comment saying, empowerment. What does empowerment mean? Empowerment for me means more than just getting money. Empowerment is me shaping your life. What sort of discussions am I having with you? Am I giving you the right skills? If I talk to you about empowerment, just be confident, be assertive. But what have I done for you to make sure that you harness that and create a positive life for yourselves? So for young women in the country at the moment, yes, we've got this one downside, but at the same time, there's also upside of what the girls are being able to achieve. There are a lot of young women who are doing tremendous things, but at the same time, there's also this other side. So what is happening currently, there's two sides. We now need to focus on the young ones who are getting pregnant early in life, and at the same time we find that this is coming from maybe the rural areas, the villages, what discussions are happening there, what is going on. So for me, that's the most alarming thing right now, and that is why Coopers is coming in to say, how can we resolve this issue, because that's now becoming a problem for the country.
Indeed, like a butterfly, life is all about growing and changing and finding one's true wing colors so we can fly and be on our way to greater things. Ms. Chinyama encourages young women to be the best version of themselves.
Hard work, patience, and the love for God. What I mean by that is very simple. We are living in our generation where everybody wants to have things happen now. Young women do not want to go through the journey. The story of a butterfly, if you look at our logo has butterflies in it. What does butterfly, what does it mean? Butterflies, the symbol of a butterfly means transformation, means change, meaning, you know, you want to find lightness in being. And also the story of the butterfly is very significant for me and for Coupes, basically, because it talks about this story where, you know, the butterfly is before it becomes a butterfly, it's in a cocoon. Then while it's trying to come out, it struggles, and finally when it comes out, it flies. What is happening with the cocoon at that particular time it's struggling? It's forming itself. The wings are being oiled such that by the time it comes out, it's able to fly. That's what needs to happen to our young women. You can't just get up and become empty. You can't just get up and become this particular successful person. You have to go through the paces, and that is the biggest challenge that I've seen. Young women or even men all over right now just want 1 minute wonder, popcorn in the microwave, you become this successful person. You can have the money, you can have that one flash where you have a big deal, but at the end of the day, if you haven't gone through the paces, that money will not last. So all I would like to urge our young women out there is that be patient. Be patient. And at the same time, when you're starting a business or you're starting to do anything, whether you're in school or not, be patient and do the best that you can. Give it 101% every particular you can. Give it 101% every particular can. Give it 101% every particular can. Give it 101% every particular 101%. Always have a plan for such the best that you can. For this, for me, with it,
You know,
give it 101 to work. Always have a plan.
business.
Every